Most of you who watch this channel know that I am not the biggest fan of Donald Trump. I think he's rude. I think he's erratic. I think he's a bit childish, which probably explains his great popularity in America today. But this segment is not about what I think about Donald Trump. This segment is about what I think is being done to Donald Trump. And I think the only conclusive statement that can be made about what is being done to Donald Trump right now is that they are lying. What they are lying about, how many times they have lied, and the extent of the lies you could probably debate. But it's very clear that these people are lying about the alleged crimes of Donald Trump. I don't mean prosecutors are applying the law evenly and making the best case they can based on available evidence. That's what prosecutors are supposed to do. I mean, they are applying the law unevenly and saying things that they know are not true in an effort to jail a political opponent. When looking at something like this, I think you have to look at what has happened in the past in order to start forming reasonable opinions about what is likely to happen in the future. What has happened in the past, and I hate to use the Donald's terminology, but what has happened in the past has been a very transparent, verified, and documented witch hunt built on false accusations, innuendos, and lies. The Biden administration and entrenched interests in government have frequently and with malice broken their own laws in an attempt to find something, anything, to convict Donald Trump. So far, they've come up empty. But with an utter lack of humility, this has not kept them from trying and trying again. Trump points out that he somehow managed to avoid being arrested for basically his entire life. Then, when preparing to run for president, suddenly he's arrested 4 times in 5 months. Coincidence? The entire Russiagate conspiracy theory proved to be false. His contention, derided at the time as unhinged, that his campaign had been spied upon by the Obama administration has proven to be true. The Nancy Pelosi-led Congress impeached Trump over things relating to Ukraine that pale in comparison to the things that is now becoming obvious were done by the current administration in Ukraine. They are trying to stifle Trump's ability to speak about certain facts related to the charges brought against him. Just months after they were secretly and illegally censoring what they considered to be damaging information, damaging to them, on some of the biggest media platforms in the world. Now, against this track record of rampant dishonesty, lawlessness, and by the way, a complete and utter inability to even acknowledge, much less learn from their mistakes, how can any thinking person possibly put any trust in the charges that are now being brought against Donald Trump? His opponents don't like the fact that he claims that the 2020 election was stolen. Well, if that's the case, why is this statement not relevant?
One very affirmative statement to make. We won.
But I didn't lose. I got the votes. But we won't know exactly how many because of how they cheated.
I did win my election. I just didn't get to have the job.
We were robbed of an election.
The contention that Trump is responsible for an even greater level of misinformation is not very compelling. And it's certainly not supported by the facts to date. They are lying about Donald Trump, and the they I am referring to here is a network of leftist political operatives, some masquerading as judicial officials, who are poring through every single minute detail of Mr. Trump's past in an effort to come up with something that may possibly, to some jury somewhere, look like a crime. This tactic has been used in many parts of the world throughout history. But to my knowledge, it has never been used to this extent here in the formerly free United States of America. In employing this tactic to silence, discredit, and possibly imprison a political opponent, leftists in the United States have crossed a line which cannot be uncrossed. It is now permissible in the United States of America to try to jail your political opponents to keep them from winning elections. Leftists, listen up. Do you remember when you broke the filibuster rule for the appointment of Supreme Court justices? You thought that would help to get some of your political cronies in places of power. Well, how did that work out for you? When you start driving down this road, only a complete fool would be oblivious to the 18-wheel tractor trailer barreling down the road in your direction. It's now only a matter of time until leftist candidates are also pursued and possibly jailed for the horrible crime of possibly being able to win an election. These people are so singularly focused on their own immediate best interest, they are completely disregarding the long-term damage this will do to the opposing party and to their own. We can't trust our leaders. We can't trust the so-called reporters that cover these issues. We cannot trust the non-governmental organizations who are supposed to put a check on the power of these other organizations. We cannot trust any of them. And this makes it even more important for us to have the information that would make it possible for us to make well-informed decisions on our own. Now, that situation is happening at the exact same time that our leaders are trying to stifle, censor, distort, and outright fabricate the information that we would need to make responsible decisions on our own. I believe absolutely nothing about what the establishment is saying about Donald Trump. For that matter, I believe absolutely nothing about what they are saying about Joe Biden. I have eyes and I have ears. I can see what this guy is doing. It's very clear he has no idea what's going on around him. In the persecution, not prosecution, persecution by leftists in the United States of presidential candidate Donald Trump, they have very successfully and thoroughly dug the graves, which someday their own leaders will be buried in.